How's it going, everybody? DJ K DuB Omaha, Wired Access Podcast with the All Access Granted.
I didn't want that to be the standard. I didn't want someone else in the room to set the standard. I always wanted to do that.
The journey to get there, I think, is something, that is amazing, Nick.
Let's get this podcast started.
Welcome. Wired Access, All Access Granted. I'm your host, DJ K DuB Omaha. We greatly appreciate you tuning in. Like, share, follow, all those great things. Did just sign another extension with Herd Sports, our other Wired Access production. So I greatly appreciate them for year 4. Thank you, guys. Today we have another former Husker. Last week we had, 2 days ago, we had DCAP. Today we got the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Banderas, where I got to have a little different experience meeting him face to face. And we'll get into that, of course. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Glad to be on, man. I see you even got the old Twitter handle below, man. That was like
you're like, I don't even use that.
Oh man, sophomore year in high school.
Yeah,
it could have been a lot worse. But I appreciate you having me on, man.
Well, the biggest thing that I love to do is there's a couple things, right? Like the thing that Wired Access likes to do is connect one athlete or one parent with former athletes at any level that has made it out of high school and continued on. 2, you're a former Nebraska prep, so that just adds to it because we're always trying to feed back to the Nebraska preps with this program. And 3, I mean, former Husker just is the icing on the cake. And then now the life after, where I think some people struggle to get and find because they're used to this is all my life was or this is all my life is.
For sure.
And I think if we could share your story and kind of obviously talk about some of your processes. Some, of course, have changed since, back when you were in high school, but there's still a lot of connection as far as effort, accountability, and of course, those sacrifices or things that you maybe took for granted at the time that other people might go, okay, I can understand that side of it. So I appreciate you joining. Of course, you were a 4-star athlete out of Lincoln Southwest.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, almost lost that one. One, to be homegrown as a Husker just adds to it. You come with a different passion, but do you feel like those passions were the same then that maybe the 90s players had for wanting to play for Nebraska in-state, or those walk-on players? For yourself, was it the same passion that you felt with that N on your chest?
Yeah, no, I think it absolutely was. I mean, how could you not? That's all. I mean, that's all we got around here. Like, you're a Chiefs fan too, but it's Nebraska, and let alone my dad playing here in the 80s. So my story is actually probably a little bit different than some of those other guys that came in the 90s, I never understood it until I graduated. But once you've kind of been in the machine, like I'm watching these guys play on Saturdays, and they're not like a superhero to me, you know what I mean? Because like that was me one time, and those were my friends and my guys. So when I was a kid growing up, we never really went to Husker games. We'd kind of have it on Saturdays because my dad played. So he's like, or Mike Rozier, he's at this event. My dad's like, well, I know him, so
Yeah.
It's not like, oh my gosh. But obviously I start like getting into, Little League football and then going into high school, and, I'm kind of starting to think maybe I'm not too bad at it. And then it becomes the reality. So the passion was always there. I was always a Husker fan, but then I look at these kids nowadays and I don't know, maybe it's there. I don't know. I mean,
it's hard to read, right? With the whole being able to transfer. It's hard for probably a former player, but also a former, fan where I was more in the fandom than I was after I coached. Like I told DCAP, I said, once I coached high school football, I think your mentality of winning and losing changes, especially when Nebraska is going through what they're going through.
Right.
And I more lead towards the athletes themselves. And everything that I felt because I was a defensive back coach, yes, I'm a big guy, but, I love the position. I love teaching the techniques. But I was telling DCAP, I said, when I was watching you guys play in that era for him, which was 2016 to 2020, that was where it was 3 different DCs. I was seeing it on the backside because I would sit up in the boneyard, using my wonderful tickets that thank you, Nebraska, for giving us for us coaches for the state of Nebraska. But I was watching, and you're watching. I'm watching the players, but everybody's watching the play, and I'm watching the DBs have to command where people are going. They're out of place. They're not respecting each other to be where they're supposed to be. But it is also the confusion of going through DC to DC to DC.
Right.
Your rhyme and all that can get off. And then you're looking at it now where it's like, okay, how close do I get to these guys? How close will I as a person who interviews, but also a person who tries to share their journey, how close do I get? I felt I was getting pretty close with Dylan. Of course, he was the first to wear the plug and play player of the game chain that I always give out for high school athletes.
Yeah, right.
First one, and he was
Gone.
the face of Nebraska.
Yep.
And he was the one that the kids looked up to. And then it all changed, whatever the reason. That's not my call. But of course, for me as a person who was trying to show how important Nebraska was to these Nebraska preps, now what do I do? So I, of
Yep.
course, reached out to the 2027s, and that's the blessing of having this show and my Wired Access is this is the night side where it's more reasonable for athletes and for people like yourself where you can explain your side of it. And it's at the nighttime where hopefully people will tune in for one, but for two, it fits more schedules. With the other one, I'm doing it from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. That's hard with high school kids or college kids.
For sure.
Fit it in the schedule. So, when you think back to your recruiting process, of course, it is different than others, right? You already have a foot in the door with connections and you're in city and they're seeing you. What do you remember was a good part of your recruiting? And what's one thing that you totally did not like in the process? Because, of course, you didn't just have Nebraska, you had Iowa, Tulsa, Vanderbilt, K-State, among many others. What was your process like going through high school?
It was pretty kind of like everybody in the state. So you first start getting letters from like Doane and Wesley and everything, kind of everybody in the high school is getting that one. And then all of a sudden a couple more start peeling in. So, it just does start to become real. But I was technically the second commit in our recruiting class. Marcus McWilson was the first one. And then he ended up decommitting and going to Kentucky. But, I wasn't going anywhere, and that's one thing that I do kind of regret from it is, your own stuff, right? Like in my head, locked in, not going anywhere. But I kind of went to Bo and I'm like, hey, like I could go out to California or like Oregon. And like, I would like to go take some of these official visits. Like it's a free trip. I got to go see a good game. I got to go out, hang out with the older guys
Experience
and,
something.
Just experience it. But clearly I'm not going anywhere, especially back then. Like they're not going to offer me 6 figures and they're not going to beat it, But he was like, I don't think so. So I do wish I kind of had a little bit more flexibility on that part of it.
Hold on. You didn't pull with, so I had Jordan Westerkamp on here and he told the Bo story for him. His dad did the talking though. He did say, my dad did the talking. We're at dinner with everybody. And he goes, what he said was he knew he needed to go check out Notre Dame, even though he was committed to Nebraska. For his family being Catholics and all that, he felt he needed to do that.
Right.
And his dad tells Bo and he goes, well, my son's committed, but it would be a disservice if he didn't go check him out. And Bo gets those veins up in the neck and looks down and you're already seeing it. And he goes, all right, you go ahead and go. But just remember, they ain't got nothing on our jock strap. He said other words. I'm going to just leave it at that. But he did. It was probably hard, just like you said, and especially with Jordan at least had the out of, have no connection to Nebraska. He didn't even know until he got the zip drive. For you, they're like, come on, man. Your dad went here. You know where the family needs to go. Did that put any pressure on that part for you?
No, not really.
Okay.
No, okay. I mean, we kind of knew it was awesome. My mom was the one that was actually in the room with me when I kind of went there for junior day and officially got the offer. And, it was one of those things where you kind of knew it was coming, but still when you actually hear it, it's like, oh man, like this is so cool, but no pressure. I think part of it's because my dad played offense and I played defense. So there's really not really a way to compare everything. But I think me and Bo had just kind of a different kind of relationship. You know, I like we were closer in a weird way. Like he was a little bit of a father figure, and in some aspects, but you know, and then him and my dad, I think they talked like every other day for the entire time that Bo was there. So we were pretty close. So Bo knew, you know, kind of when he said no, like I'm not gonna push back. Like
Mad respect, and
I got you.
that's also on people, you know, because if it was nowadays, could that pressure is a lot if you
Oh well,
don't
none
try
of it
and
would
you
have
don't
happened.
test. Yeah,
None of that would have happened. That's why Bo would not he would not be good in this era because there is no more control. Like Bo could have told me no, and I'm like, well, hang on now, because they're gonna offer me like an extra, well, $200,000 depending on the player. Like
facts.
that's not we're talking life changing money here. Like I have to go, and there's nothing he can do about it. But
Yeah,
like you know, at that point, they're like, well, you know, we're gonna pull your offer, or like just not be happy about it. But anymore, it's all about the money anymore. So like you were saying, like how close do you want to get? But like how close can you get? Because
yeah,
but the second you're starting to get close, they're gone.
yeah. It's scary, and I hope things kind of find their way. But you know, it's like that famous saying: once you take it out the cage, putting it back in ain't gonna ever be as what it is. Of course, you know, your senior year for high school, you ended up playing both ways a lot. You know, you ran for over 1,000 yards. You know, you did some great things. Was there a chance for Nebraska you could have went either way, or were you stuck defensively?
I wish that would have been awesome. Scoring a touchdown would be the coolest thing ever, man. Like never had a chance to. No, I was defense all the way. I don't even think it never even came up. It was never an opportunity. It was just you know, we're being linebacker all the way. If I could go back, I wish I would have redshirted. I was not ready to be go. My first 2 years playing absolutely terrible. I was in over my head. Um, and so I wish I could go back in redshirt, but I wish I could play an offense too. Like put me on the goal line, man. Like I'll be a fullback. You just, you know,
Let
something.
me do work. Let me do work. You
Yeah,
of
but we
course
had some
get
good running backs in our class, so you know, I get it.
you of course get, you know, to Nebraska. What did you feel you were able to leave at Lincoln Southwest for your high school, and what was the thing that you were remembered for as far as a teammate?
Oh, geez, I don't know. I don't know if I even necessarily left very much. You know, that's when you're in high school and then you're going to go to Nebraska. You know, all of us said it before we went to college. We're like, oh, we're going to come back anytime we can. You know, we're going to support the team. But then you graduate and you get to college and you really never go back. You know, my brother was he's 5 years younger than me, so he was a freshman kind of right after I left and picking up. So um, I don't know. Everything's just different. Like the younger kids, they don't really know as much. It'd be different if it was a small town or like a Class C school. You know, every middle school kid and elementary school kid, they know the big high school running back or the quarterback, and he's kind of a legend. Like we go back down to my dad's hometown, and there's still high schoolers today. They're like, "Oh, it's you're Tom Banderas," and he's like, "Really?" Well, kind of get him a little bit.
Get
So
him
yeah, I
back
don't
from that.
know. I don't really think I left too much at Southwest. I mean, it was a great time. That's what I miss about high school kind of anymore. Everybody's so worried about where they're going to go to college, and I got to get these stats and I get to get this, but like high school is supposed to be about playing with the dudes you grew up with in your neighborhood. That's the fun part of it to me. And now everything's just kind of getting different because everybody's trying to go to be their best to the next level, which I get, but there's some aspect to where high school is the most fun that I ever had playing football, just because you're with your boys. There's really no pressure. You're just out there having fun.
Well, and then when you sign, I mean, that kind of relieves a little pressure. What do you think that helps for athletes, whether they decide in their junior years or senior year? What do you think that helps with your final time in high school? Do you think you soak it up a little bit more? Do you kind of switch the way that you played? What did that do for you with you committing when you did?
Oh, I mean, you definitely get a little bit of clout with it, you know. I mean, this is every time somebody plays, you're like, oh, that's the guy going to Nebraska, or that's the guy that's committed to, Stanford or Ohio or wherever they're going. So like you definitely you just become a guy as far as everybody else is concerned. But as far as playing high school ball or something, I know there was a lot of guys that we played with that you don't know what's going to happen like this season. Maybe this might be my last time playing football. So there was a nice reassurance, especially after that last game in the locker room where most of your teammates, that's the last time they're ever going to strap it up. And so, yeah, you're bummed because it's the last time playing with them and last time in high school, but you know that there's a future ahead of you. So it gives you a little bit of comfort, at least towards the end of everything.
You of course get to Nebraska and things aren't as easy. Like you said, you're playing as a freshman. First of all, just getting to the college and getting to that level, what do you think you had to adjust and change just as you get on campus that some athletes might take for granted nowadays to do?
Well, first of all, the whole recruiting thing is unrealistic. Like they're all schmoozing you and they're being nice and they're, calling you by your first name and very polite things. And then as soon as you get there, it is way different. And it might be a totally different ball game now because dudes can transfer at the drop of a hat. But yeah, back as soon as we all got there, we started getting cussed at and we're like, whoa, like what, this isn't what you've been talking about for the last year and a half. Like you guys were actually nice dudes.
I thought we were friends. I thought we were friends.
Yeah, man, no, not even close. Like it's way different. So that's that part of the game. But I don't know. I was pretty well adjusted. I had like it was stuff that my dad had talked about when we were growing up and everything. So you just do your work. I mean, you listen to your coaches and you do your work and you'll be fine. But I think a lot of guys go in there and you kind of sniff a little bit of the freedom, right? Like it's not the 8 to 3. You got all these classes and then you go to practice. Like now you might have a day off. You might have one class or two class and you really don't have to go. I mean, no one's going to hold your hand and make you go. You're supposed to. So I think a lot of the freedom that you get kind of can trip up some guys. That's what I told all the new guys coming in, whether they listen or not. It's like, dude, if you just listen to the coaches and show up to class, you'll be just fine. But harder said than done in some cases.
What was that freshman scare for you? What was the thing that you weren't ready for? Was there any part of it besides as far as with class and with the schooling of having that freedom? How did you find yourself to control it as a freshman?
I had good roommates. So I was roommate with Nathan Gary, AJ Natter, Adam Taylor. So we were all pretty focused. We knew what to do. Like we go out and have fun on the weekends and stuff, but all of us were pretty dedicated to what we want to do. So that was nice to have them around us. But for sure, the biggest surprise and challenge, I guess, going into it was like the schedule. So what they expect out of the meetings is what you get for it. Because in high school, there's not really a scheme. I mean, there is, but it's like, hey, pretty much here's what the front looks like, and you're gonna play cover 3, and every once in a while we'll have a cover 1 and a blitz. Like it's not a whole lot, but then you get to college, and all of a sudden this fall camp install, like you're sitting here, I got 3 pages of notes going in, and they're like, all right, we're gonna see out in the field in a half an hour, and like we got to do exactly what we just talked about. It's like, what? Like we just learned this. It's like, well, yeah, now you got to execute it at 100 miles an hour. So you better make it through like stretches and Indy and all this stuff. And so I'd write notes on my wristband, like about just kind of the bullet points. But
You didn't create little flashcards and have yourself the quarterback wristband for yourself?
Man, there was no time. Like that's what is so crazy is, I mean, you have no time. You still got to get taped. You still got to get dressed, and then you got to get out there on time. And especially when you're on defense, like linebacker coaches, if you're 15 minutes early, you're kind of on time. And so you didn't have any time to mess around, and then you got to go execute. So that's what was crazy. It's like they expect you to just pick it up like that. And that's really what separates. I mean, they're really great players from the ones that take some more time to pick it up. Because if you can go out there and you can make an adjustment and do it on the fly, that's how you know that you're going to start taking extra steps.
When you look at your linebacker crew as a freshman, who was it that was your guy who took you under the wings? Was it more of a taken on their wings, or you just better fly by the seat of your pants. And if you catch on, which you obviously you did because you got playing time, then that's where the respect and all that starts to get earned from those upperclassmen.
Yeah, we had a lot of. See, I don't think we didn't have like a starting senior. So when I came in, Zaire Anderson was there. He had some playing time. David Santos, Michael Rose was a year older than me. So it wasn't so much of that like take you under the wing because like we were all competing for the same spot. Like nobody was established, and so it was competitive. Like we're friends, and we all talk and still talk kind of to this day. But yeah, it wasn't so much of helping each other as much as like we all got to go if we want to get on the field.
You of course get on that first practice. What's the number one thing that you remember getting onto that field? Because I know I'm pretty sure you went on there for your visits and you've been on that field plenty of times, but when you have the pads on and you have, even just a practice jersey, it's got to change the mentality and the really feelings of what you were going through.
Yeah, the summer was a good preparation for that. Because so if you didn't go through summer and all of a sudden you're just jumping right into practice, I could see it being like, oh, like the speed's different. Like these guys are bigger. This is the first time I'm seeing them. But you're with these guys all through summer. So like Spencer Long was a senior offensive lineman, like all-American monster. But I'm able to spend this time in the weight room next to him, and I'm running next to him and stuff. So I'm kind of getting a sense for it. But then once the pads get on. It's part of the reason why you're there. Like if you're not physically capable of competing with these guys, then they wouldn't have recruited you. So the speed and everything wasn't that much different going into it. So there wasn't this like big. I did have a freshman moment with Spencer Long. Is we're doing whatever drill it was, and I had a blitz, and it was supposed to kind of be like. A or B gap, make a move. And I'm like, nope, setting the tone, like this is going to be my moment.
You're supposed to go 70%. You decide you're going to try to go 100.
I was supposed to make a move or like blitz and get through the gap, but I'm like, nope, I'm going to make a point here. Like this is the big dog.
This is the Goliath here for you.
Captain All-American guard, Spencer Long. And I'm like, I'm going to go right through his face. He's not expecting it. I'm just going to give him a little shimmy to bowl. Didn't move an inch. And I gave it everything I had, and my head was ringing. I'm like, "Oh yeah, yep, nope. We're gonna take that one back to the drawing board." So that was my first, a little bit different. Can't just do that to anybody.
When you look at your one-on-ones with the offense, and you look at the running backs, of course, I know linebackers, running backs compete quite a bit. Who was your number one challenge when it came to the running backs?
Well, I was in there with Amir Abdullah, what are you supposed to do? What do you want me to do? I mean, I'm not a coverage guy in general. Like my one-on-one skills are miserable. Like I gotta be one to cheat the system, know where I'm helping, kind of bank on film a little bit and take some guesses half the time. But so yeah, me being a step behind that way, and then you got Amir. It's like the coaches yell on you and they give you techniques and stuff, and it's like, okay. Like
you see who I'm trying to go here against.
It's Amir Abdullah. I don't care what I do. I'm not guarding him. So anybody who got him, they just knew right away. Unless he's running a wheel and you could guess it and kind of run with him, it was over.
Now, of course, you had the father that knew some of the process. What did you have to change? Was there any eating changes that you had to do or workout changes that you had to do that you weren't expecting, that you thought you already had accomplished as a senior in high school when you joined?
Yeah, I mean, lifting was a change. I had known how to lift. Like we'd been to trainers before, so I knew kind of the technical and how to do everything. I wasn't going into that green or anything, but you're seniors in high school. You're going after it, but you're more worried about the arm farm, especially during the season. Your summer workouts, you work out crazy, but during the season, we'll figure it out. But so going in there and doing the weights and stuff, I mean, commando. I mean, we're getting right in there. There's no false starts. There's no toe on the line. I mean, it's pretty militant, at least with Coach Dobson at the time. So, there was a big change just in the intensity of everything. Like it is always on. I got this habit now and I still have it. And it didn't really make sense because I didn't have a beard back then, or at least like a ratty one. But like 5 a.m. workout. Like, and we're getting there doing warm-ups and stuff, and I yawn. Like, normal thing to do at 5 in the morning. Okay. I'm not tired. I just yawn. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm
Waking
attentive. I'm
up.
not
I'm
messing up.
going.
Oh man, did I catch it? He just like bop, 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 like do not yawn. And so like every time I yawn now, like I'm just like doing that just to cover it and kind of get rid of it. So dude, there's a
Coach
lot of
might be here. Coach might be here. Watch out. Watch out.
yeah, you know, you yawn and you're just like, oh, it's just kind of scratching the beard or whatever. And so yeah, you should start asking that on some of the interviews. There's a lot of guys I bet that have some kind of asking about their meetings in college and what ticks they developed.
Okay, I like that. That'll add a good mix to that,
Dude,
especially with the ones I'm getting. I mean,
yes, they
and then
all had it.
you look at did you ever have a instance of where you might have done something that you didn't expect would be trouble? And I bring this up because I coached here at Omaha South. Noah Fant was a part of the team. He went to Iowa, so I knew like his first day he was late and he had to do 300-yard bear crawls. The
Yeah.
next day he was early and he thought he was good, but he wore those things called the wrong socks because you have to wear certain things.
Oh, that's different in Iowa for sure too.
Did you have
Oh, yeah.
anything of that sort where you had a little punishment for what you had to do?
No, I was never officially late. They said I was late one time, but it was BS. Like miscommunications.
Take that off my record. Not off my record.
But no, I had Ross Ells. So Ross Ells was the linebacker coach, special teams coach. Like so, from the beginning, and we had a couple guys in our linebacker room too that were examples what not to do. So they weren't there for very much longer after I got there. But no, that's what I'm saying. Some of those ticks. He's like, especially in fall camp, like what do they do in the meetings? Like you have a projector, they shut the lights off. Okay. We had a long day yesterday. I had to get up early. We're all tired. So you got to take notes and you're sitting here and they're next, just watching film and you never know when your name's going to be called. So like, you got to figure out some kind of way to stay awake. And you just kind of hit the little drowse every once in a while. And that was the hardest part for sure. But you learned real quick not to, because we had a couple guys fall asleep and they would just explode at these guys. And
if you were what you are now,
just get out of the room, like chucking pens against the back wall. And then everybody's like, oh, don't let that be me.
Well, I'm sure caffeine drinks weren't a big thing for you guys. Or was
everybody else? I can't do coffee. I can't do it. Whatever. Like caffeine.
I don't do coffee.
Caffeine's never really agreed with me. Some guys would do, throw a dip in and like that would help and stuff. But no, like every once in a while, like my leg hairs, like I'd have to kind of pull them, tug them a little bit just to like have a little, just to stay up. Dude, there's some times people couldn't even go to the bathroom because you couldn't miss. Like you couldn't miss what was happening. And so as soon as meetings were done, they let you out. Dude, it was
They didn't have your catheter or nothing? No porta potty?
I guarantee you there's some dudes that have thought about it before. Because you just got to hold it. There you know. You go to the bathroom? No. Like you're going to miss it.
We're not stopping what we're doing.
No.
Of course, you get through that freshman season, that first time stepping on the field for an actual game there in Lincoln, Nebraska. What was that like for you? What was that experience? And what do you remember about that day?
That was cool. It was. So I'm always different than some of the other guys. I'm always the last one out of the tunnel. And so it's what my dad did, and it's what I did all in high school, and so that's what I did my first time coming out of the tunnel. I was the last one, so the boom of the crowd had already kind of been gone, and I was just able to kind of like jog up to the opening and like see it all and take it all in and take my time jogging like over the sideline, looking at everything. It was pretty sweet, man. And every time I did it, like my entire career, it's an awesome feeling, awesome moment. And that's what I told a lot of the younger guys too. I'm like, just take a second and just look around, like take it all in. And so it really never gets old. I mean, even when I go back to some games every once in a while for the tunnle walk and stuff, I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, you just start talking. I'm sure your arm. There's just certain things when it comes to sports that happens. Like for me, even now, like with I do 3 podcasts, and like every time I hear the go music, it's like it's go because I get to do what I love. And that's the same thing of that, where no matter how many times I've heard the intro, and even as a DJ, when I have to play it for events or I do stuff, like it just still does the same thing. I don't know. It's just that much of enjoyment.
I can't listen to Hell's Bells anymore. Just when I hear the gong or whatever, it almost makes me a little sad because I'm like, like I'm never gonna get that again. Sometimes I hear those ones and like remember myself in there. I'm like, I got to turn it off because like you want that feeling again. I still got the itch, but it's over. So yeah, no, there's some powerful stuff, man.
Of course, your freshman year, you played all games. You started 4 of them. What did those conversations go game in and game out for you, especially as a freshman? That by the end, it was less and less needed to talk to. You kind of felt more into where you're supposed to be. I mean, I can only imagine the pressure, but you obviously have said if you weren't supposed to be there, you wouldn't be there. But there's still the pressure of social media, the pressure of winning, the pressure of legacy, as some would call it, with being a son of a father that played there, and just of the fact that fans are passionate.
Yeah, that's
And
one way
you
to
know
put it.
it.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. Yeah, that little Twitter handle down there, I got rid of it. Like, and I learned real quick. So, I mean, when you're in there playing on special teams, which is like the first couple was able to get in the game on, nobody really cares. Nobody knows. So it's whatever. But then you get your first start. And like I said, man, my freshman year, it's a distant memory in my mind. I mean, I try and forget it as much as I can just because I was not good. I was not confident. Like I got to that point, like it got to that point during the freshman year where after every play, I'd look over to the sideline and just waiting for them to be like, get out. So I really like I knew what I was doing and like I would have an okay week of practice and get in there. But man, yeah, my head was just in a whirlwind. So honestly, like getting the starts and playing those, they're kind of got to a point where I'm just like my confidence was just shot. And so the season just kind of went down. Then they finally kind of took the starting position away from me and gave it to I think Zaire at the time or Santos. And from that point on, I kind of just felt comfortable, like I was always ready to go. But the pressure was crazy, man. Like especially
How did you not have a talk with anybody? Were you afraid to talk to him? What was that like for you, man?
yeah, like you always like they try to talk and figure stuff out and
But I'm
so,
saying even you going, man, I'm just not. I know you think I'm ready,
yeah.
but I'm also guessing that that's hard to even have a conversation about because of the
Oh,
pride,
for
because
sure.
of the I'm on scholarship, and of course you see the people who are the walk-ons trying to just find their way for one snap, and you're here knowing where you're at, but you respect the game so much. Like that's what I think people don't understand is when you get in that state of mind, it ain't because you don't want or can't. You respect your game and you know where you're at in the
Right. Well,
whole
yeah,
situation.
you can't. Like, I mean, honestly, it's a sign. I mean, you can call it what it is. It's kind of a sign of weakness. Like, I can't go up to you and be like, Coach, I just can't do it right now. Like I need more time. Like, you can't say that because then they're like, well, he don't even believe it in himself. So, like, well, I ain't gonna put him out there. So, like, luckily, I got a great support system at home, and the coaches were still on board and trying to help. So I went in and asked for as much as I could. And Barrett Rude was the GA at the time, so I'm trying to get stuff from him, but nothing just clicked. Like I kept trying these different routes and these different mindsets and try this and this and this and nothing clicked and nothing worked. And especially when you got the social media and all the immense pressure that comes with it, it just kind of starts burying you, especially in that freshman year. So I didn't mind when the season ended those first couple or that first year. That was all right by me.
How did you find yourself back to get yourself some confidence heading into your sophomore year? What was some things? Who was the people you talked to? Obviously you said a good support staff, but besides family, there's also got to be people who also believe in you and can help you get out of those.
For sure. I mean, the roommates were good, like all my friends on the team. But at some point, you're so much in your head, you're like, well, they gotta say what they gotta say. Like I'm sure, they don't mean it or whatever. And, met with some of the former players, like a Todd Profit and Jay Foreman. And so those were kind of my mentors on the outside. So they were helping, but you get time off from anything, you kind of forget about the bad and you're looking forward to the new. So like went into sophomore year, feeling a lot better, feeling back where I was, and then kind of had similar sputters. And then Bo had actually ended up getting fired. And so we're going to the bowl game, play USC in the Holiday Bowl. And so whatever clicked in my head, I'm like, you know what? Whatever. Like, who knows what's going to happen? Bo's not here. The coaches are, they care, but not really. So went out and had the best game of my career. I had like 12, 15 tackles, something like that against Juju Smith-Schuster and USC and, the new step. But whatever clicked then. So all the pressure, I just turned it off in my head, and it felt like I was more back to my high school days.
What was your personal thought, and how did it relate with the team consensus when Bo got let go?
I feel like I was a little bit different I'd say the team was split. So because of who Bo was, and he was such a player's guy, like Bo would die for any one of his players. And no matter what, could be the worst player on the team that just doesn't do anything right. Bo's still going to dive on the sword for him. That's the kind of guy he was. And so when you're like that, or when you're a coach like that, you develop such a loyalty among your players that when your players now think that you were wronged, they're all of a sudden going to put their heels in the ground. So I don't care who they brought in. They could have brought in Urban Meyer. They were still this kind of the sect of the team. They were like, I don't care what this new guy says. I'm Bo. I'm Team Bo, right? No matter what. And so they that was a little bit of a silent division on the team, where for me, obviously, I love Bo. He was my guy, but ultimately I'm like, we got to move forward. I don't really care who brings in. At that point, I was considering myself, just because of the way my first 2 years ago. And I'm like, well, maybe I need to change the scene. Maybe I need to think about going to Kansas State or somewhere else, wherever it's going to take me. But then they bring in this guy, Mike Riley, and everybody's like, who in the world is this guy coming in this baggy suit and looking around the team room like, this is big. I'm like, I'll give it a chance. And then turned out that me and the defensive coordinator, linebacker coach, really, really meshed good together, and was able to get a lot of confidence back and kind of have a better career from then on.
How would you feel the team came together when that junior season for yourself? Of course, having some stay, some go. Did you feel like you guys were able to adapt to what the change was as a team?
Not as good as we should have. We would have been a lot better. Like I said, there was that disconnect. You bring in new position coaches. Well, maybe I don't get along with that position coach. He's not the one that recruited me. This staff was just thrown together. They haven't been together for a long time. So they're not, we're missing communication. Well, he told me this. Well, he told me that. So who's right? You know what? Screw it. I'm just going to go out there and play. So we could have been a lot better if certain things were addressed, but there was a lot going on with Bo, and then who got brought in, and
Do you think the
somebody
transfer
should have
portal
done it.
would have helped at all or hurt?
I don't know. I'd like to say it would have helped, but I honestly think it would have hurt. We had a great group of guys, man. Bo was a really good recruiter. We had a good core group of guys that went into it. If we all just could have stayed together and had those hard conversations with each other about what we want to do, I think it could have been better. But everybody was just trying to figure out this new thing and, get everything ready for themselves before anything else. And, had that first, especially when we go 5-7 the first year, we go beat UCLA, get 6, whatever. But, that doesn't help. Losing never helps. And we were able to win 9 games and with some injuries the senior season. And, but could have been, we could have done a lot more things with the guys that we had.
Had everybody just bought in during this process, of the change and all that. What's your dad saying from the outside looking in, being a former player? What's kind of his thoughts, or did he even have those conversations with you, or was he just like, I'm going to sit back and just live through what the son is getting to do and allow him to kind of talk to me if he wanted to?
Yeah, I know he's not really the sit back kind of guy. You know what I mean?
I didn't think so, but I had to give that out, right? I had to give just a little bit of a possibility.
No, but it's all good stuff. The main thing with him was no matter what happened the first 2 years for anybody on the team, right? You get fresh eyes. there's fresh eyes on you. They can watch your film and from beforehand and kind of have some predetermined things in their head. But like a good coach is going to come in and just fresh slate. Like, who is this kid? What's he do on the field? And so that was kind of the message that kept going with me. Like, okay, just play free, just do what we did that last game and keep going. And like I said, really meshed with the linebacker coach, and the way he said things was how I thought things, and was able to really click and roll and ask more questions, especially being an older guy now.
See, I like that you brought that up, because that's important for people to know that, sometimes it's not always the person, it's just their verbiage is so different. It's like
Oh, no
speaking
question.
Chinese.
Yeah,
But
no, that's probably the biggest thing I can tell anybody that's like going is the question, like, ask why. Like, sometimes coaches think like, why? Because I said so. It's like, no, like, you need to ask why. There's specifically a time my freshman year or something like that. We were mid-season. All right, we're in a team room, and Coach Papuchis, the DC at the time, he's up there talking about this, and he's like, blah blah blah. Name our, what's our single high defenses? I didn't know what that meant. We never went over that. I don't know. So I'm sitting there like, oh, geez, I don't know, man. And so I did. I paused, and he was like, what are they? And I'm like, Coach, I have no idea what single high means. And he was just like flabbergasted. He's like, what do you mean? Like, why haven't you ever asked this before? And there was other guys in the room. They're like, I'm glad it was you, because I didn't know either.
thanks for taking the shot.
Yeah,
man,
man, me. Like, geez,
way to go,
I
man.
should know, but like, you don't know, because I didn't want to ask questions, because you were just supposed to listen to what the coach said, take your notes, and you're supposed to know it, and you don't want to ask any dumb questions. And so now, like, when I got older, I'm like, dude, ask. You don't know what you don't know. Like, to me, that might be easier. To the coach, like, you should know that, but you have no idea. Like,
Dude, I tell people every day, man, I've done dispatch and life flight for 14 years. I work all the desks. There's 28 of them. I'm a rare breed on that, but I still learn every day, because the scenarios are so different. Like,
right.
you never get the same day every day, and there's always a new scenario. And even with people that just come out of training, I'm like, there's something you're going to show me, and I'm going to take it, but it is hard, because everybody looks to you. And especially, as you said, going into your senior year, you're one of the rare that's played as a freshman. They're expecting you to be top notch, right where they need you to be at that time. But if the verbiage is not where you need it, or to understand it, it's
Right.
not going to just register.
No, it's a totally different ball game, and every coach is new. Like you were saying with the three defensive coordinators, like, we all got different words that mean the same thing, but you got to know my word, and not your, not the old word. So yeah, it's questions, man. Like, there is no dumb question.
No.
You have to ask it, because you'll never grow otherwise. You'll just be guessing.
You, of course, led Nebraska with 93 tackles as a senior. You were honorable mention of all conference honors. Where did you feel like you left Nebraska as your senior year, especially with all the stuff that not everybody goes through in 4 years, with the turmoil of a whole coaching change, and especially with the history that you've known Nebraska to be? I mean, you grew up with Tom Osborne being a coach, into Frank Solich, and you're still of that age to where you knew commitment meant something, and that dedication to Nebraska means something. What did it mean for you that senior year?
I felt like we left them in a good place, and then they switched it up on us, right? They fired Mark Banker, they brought in Bob Diaco, and it was all downhill from there. But you're gone. Like, I can't do anything after that. But the way we left it, man, we were in a good place. Nobody knows this either, and I guarantee, and I got confirmation from him. We had Micah Parsons was coming here. He was silently committed to Trent Bray and Mark Banker. Like, nobody knows that. Yeah, and when ask find somebody, like, ask Luke Gifford. Luke was down there in Dallas, and Luke asked him. And
I need to get Luke on one, because, of course, still being a Nebraska and a Nebraska prep, but I'm a Bang Bang Niners gang fan, man. That's my team.
All right,
so
yeah.
You need to make sure Luke gets a message. I love to have him on as well, because I love that. But it's just so weird how one wrong change could change the outcome of the future for that. I mean, imagine if Micah was here. That would have been crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad it was after me. I never would have played. But so we could have had Micah Parsons. We had this good thing. Like, we had a bunch of good recruits going. We were even at one point, we were in, that was before, like, earlier on, but we were in Lamar Jackson's top choices. And he wasn't nobody at the time. We didn't know he'd do that, but felt like we left him in a good place, man. And then, politics and backroom stuff and whatever it is, like, they ended up making the change to Diaco, and, it obviously went downhill from there. But yeah, we were in a good place, and it always drove me nuts, especially when Frost came in and all they were doing was just ramming my ears under the bus. Coach Riley sucks. Coach Riley's this. They didn't lift. They didn't go to practice. They were late. Like, all this stuff. And I'm like, all of us old players were like, you got to be kidding me. Like, we left it in a great spot. We were a 9-win team, but if we beat Wisconsin in overtime, we're guaranteed the Big Ten championship. Like, it doesn't matter that Tommy tweaked his hamstring. Like, we could lose the rest of the games and then get him healthy. So, like, people forget that stuff, and
and the credibility for it is so far from it, because everybody just reads what so and so puts out, and that's why I like digging deep with athletes. Of course, I've had Tommy, I've had Mike Rose-Ivy, you like, I'm getting the meat, the potatoes of all these changes, but it's not all this negative stuff that you have read or you think you knew about it.
right.
There's positivities that come out of it, and that's why I like sharing it, because you got opportunities to at least showcase beyond college. You, of course, finished your senior year saying that I could leave the Banderas name at Nebraska, knowing that I have done, not just started as a freshman, which is, like you said, the furthest thing you want to remember, but you left a thing that showed an uphill battle that most people can't do, and you probably didn't expect it to be, because, like, does the 4-star thing and, like, the stars of athletes, does that blow your mind sometimes, where it doesn't mean everything to who the person is and what's going to happen when it comes to college?
Oh, yeah. No, it really doesn't mean anything. I mean, a prime example is a kid he was a 5-star linebacker out of Texas when we were coming up together and we played in the Army game together. What was his name? I'm not going to remember right now, but he ended up being committed to Ohio State, and like a year or two after that, he was like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. And, now he's like a rocket scientist or something, like, real smart dude. But he was a 5-star. Like, there's not very many 5-stars. But
Yeah.
the thing about the stars, but anybody who can get a scholarship to one of these big schools, and like, the big adjustment is, like, most of the things that we did, we just could do. It's like, well, yeah, like, we're going to play football, and in high school, going to start, or you're going to run track, and probably going to go to state, and all these things. They just, like, you could do it. Or when you go play pool with them or something, it's like, I'm pretty good at pool, that kind of thing. But then now you get to college, and everybody did that. Like, everybody here was good at all that stuff and did the exact same thing. So there is no more, like, something's got to separate you guys. So the stars can mean whatever they mean getting there, but then after that, it's like, who's actually the ones that can still do what they say they can do.
Maintain the consistency, which is not always easy because it can get to your head. You, of course, get the opportunity to showcase, or at least have an opportunity in the NFL. What was that first, going from college to NFL? What was that time before you got to be the unsigned free agent for the Broncos?
It was a fun time. I mean, that's the thing you always dreamed of. You're about to go, hopefully get a shot in the NFL and do everything and go train at these facilities. And I got an agent now, and you feel pretty cool about it, and big time. But didn't have the bad, like, after college, everything kind of started, getting wacky. So 2 weeks before pro day, I just turned 21, just had my birthday. A couple days later, I'm working on my long snapping, tear something in my wrist. Like, dang it. Like, so that's out. Like, can't do that. Got a cast on my wrist, whatever. I can still run. Then a day after that, I ripped my calf in half, like, tear my calf. So now I'm on a scooter. I got my wrists. I'm down there in Florida, like, screwed up. So I didn't get a pro day. I didn't get to show anything. So got lucky to even get an undrafted free agent from the Broncos. And they, brought us out there. And so I never got healthy. Like, I was gimping through, trying to rehab. I gimped through OTAs during the summer, tried to come back and get healthy, wasn't ready, ripped it again.
Did you feel like if you didn't continue to push yourself, that opportunity would have just left instead of pushing yourself to where you couldn't perform to where you wanted to be? Was
Like
that
as far
scare?
as
Was it like a scare to go, hey, you know what? I appreciate this, but I want to fully kill myself instead of pushing through things that ended up just re-causing injury.
oh, for sure. Yeah, if I just would have been honest from the beginning, and even a lot of the so like I'm out in Denver. Like I tell them straight, I'm like, hey, this ain't me right now. Like I'm going 70% out there. It looks like I'm jogging. And I was telling the special teams guy, I'm like, this isn't me. And so I was lucky enough that he even kept me through that. And then once I retore it, I went back to Denver and kind of told the rookie guys that were, there to kind of help us through. I'm like, hey, this is what happened. Like, they know the game. They're like, dude, go out there, get through 2 things of warm up, fall, go down. Like that way that way the NFL is on the hook. Cause if you get hurt during their practice, they're going to put you on the PUP list. Like they're going to make sure you're on the team. Like you're going to get to rehab. And, me being whatever, call it being from Nebraska, I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I'm not going to lie to them just to,
For
I'm
sure.
not going to play that game. I mean, that's just
I'm
not
better
who I
than
am.
this. That is not the Banderas name. I am better than that.
That's right. Well, I should have done the other thing.
Blue collar and all.
should have been the other way. Cause I did. Like I went, I told him like, hey, here's the deal. Like I did it again. I went down to Arizona. I tried to rehab on my own, and they're like you're sorry, man. Like, so they cut me, and which is fine. Like whatever. I'll get another chance somewhere else. But never got healthy again. And by the time I come around and I'm maybe ready to give it a go again, my agent was done with me, man. Like
And then
couldn't.
you started going with some other leagues. What was that like for you? Of course, did the spring league, you did the CFL, which of course a lot of Nebraska players have went to the CFL and
Yep.
had a lot of success. I mean, we just had Yoshi on not too long ago, man. That dude,
He's an eternal up there.
he is a lifer, just like
He
Baron
is.
Miles. Like Baron Miles was my idol when I was young. That's
Yep.
who I always loved watching, and then seeing all of his success and continued success in the CFL as admin and upper management. I mean, it's just crazy how it could go. What do you remember about going from like that part of your life of just going from the spring league or the USA? What was that?
USFL.
AAF, right?
Oh
Didn't
yeah,
you?
yeah, AF. Well, so first so agent gave up on me. Whatever, that was the whole thing. I'm calling them. They're like, "Yeah, we're not getting anything." So I'm like, "Whatever." So I'm gonna get a new agent. Like I think you quit on me, and so I get a new agent in a month. They're like, "Yep, signed in Edmonton." So I'm sitting there like, "Well, I just wasted a year and a half with this agent. Like I could have. So that was the whole thing. But then COVID hits, and so right when I'm about to leave for Canada, COVID hits, Canada shuts down. They don't even do the CFL season. So I'm sitting here in limbo. And then the AAF comes along, get an opportunity to go out and play in Salt Lake City, play 8 games. That 8th game, I'm in there, I'm playing, try and make a tackle, dislocate my shoulder, and then the league folds. So like I'm sitting there like I at least had some film. I could have gotten in another like mini camp or something, but I'm hurt. And so I get through that again, and then the spring league comes around, which is free. You don't get paid to play in that. Like there was a lot of guys in that spring league in Texas that had to pay to play.
Yeah, I mean that's what that local semi-pro is. Most of the time, it's them playing or paying
To
to
play.
play. Yeah,
So
and
we went
they
down
still have
there.
to have real jobs outside. Like, what are you doing for work during this time? How are you able to keep yourself financially where you needed to be, or even attempting to?
So I had but between Denver and then the AAF, and then I kind of had a settlement for my shoulder with workman's comp and everything. I was able to kind of keep it up
Okay.
pretty good. And then on the side, my mom and I, yeah, it's nice that we can, do it together and spend time. We kind of got a little furniture business. So we were like dishing out
Ooh,
tables and little, all kinds of
I
stuff
got you.
just to kind of keep it afloat. But that was good. So yeah, went and played in Texas, was banged up, groin here, groin there, and then got a chance to go play in the USFL and same kind of thing, man. I know the PFF rating system is just, I mean, that's a whole nother thing, but like top rated in the league, was doing good, like killing it, captain of the team, and then just injury, groin, ankle, groin, only played like 5 games the whole season. So, if you're hurt. So I just had the injury bug like later in the career, and I had a pretty bad ankle surgery. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? If I could get through a full season, there's no doubt in my mind I'd be back in the like I'd actually get a shot in the NFL, but my body just can't do it. I'm torn up. So like that was a big mental load
I was
to
gonna
like
say, who do you
unpack.
go through that process with? Who are like, how's that part of your life going? I know we had Adam Carricker on here because, of course, you could find the series on Carricker Chronicles, and I mean, dude, he talked about he tried every NFL team to the point where he almost had to choose divorce or NFL.
Yeah,
Like people
I
don't
get it.
understand like what injuries can do mentally because this is all you've known, this is what you've done, and this is kind of where we go back to where I started with this journey, and this story with you is that is the hardest part to go when you're done. What was that? How'd that go for you?
I had a couple different times with it. After the spring league, I was driving back from Texas. I'm like, yep, I'm done. And then you get another opportunity. Sometimes I think the injury is worse than just I'm not getting a call, because the injury part of it is like, now I know for a fact that if I was healthy, I'd be on that team. So I got to give it another shot, because if I can just stay healthy, then I know I'm going to make it. Where if you're just, you just stop getting calls, it's like, all right, well, there's 32 teams and like just nobody's calling me. So it's just time to wrap it up. But when you still got the juice in the tank and you just never got the opportunity, when you know that you could do it, that, really tough and it beats you up. But, at some point, I got to be 20. Well, I can't even remember. I was 28 years old or whatever. My body's beat up. Like I could give it another 2 years, but that's another 2 years that, I could be an insurance agent and start building my book. And, I'd like to get married and have kids, and I can't really do it when I'm trying to bounce around and do all this other stuff. So, I mean, I still got the itch. I still got the itch today. Like I would love to go out there and be able to do it, but at some point it's not realistic anymore.
Of course, you do a little coaching stint up at Oregon State. Is there a reason you didn't stick with the college side of coaching? Was it because of that chance to possibly play again?
The USFL actually happened after Oregon State. I
After your
started getting
core,
back in
yeah.
shape, but still, no. I mean, because that was always my goal to be a coach in college and stuff. But especially after being in it, seeing what the schedule's like. If I was a single guy, didn't really care about having a family or anything, it's what I'd be doing now. But I was out there with my girlfriend, now wife, and like it just wasn't the family life I kind of envisioned myself having. So just had to hang up all kind of aspects of football and just to move on with life.
When you talk about your now wife and you guys are going through these hard times as just boyfriend, girlfriend, how do you guys supporting each other and what's some of the things, because everybody wants their significant other to live their dream, but reality has to set in on what you really want and where you want to go with it. How was that for you guys?
And bless her heart, she just believed everything I said. I'm like, here's what's gonna be. Like the plan was, and what she is now. I'm like, I want you to be a stay-at-home mom. I want you to raise the babies, and I'll just take care of all the rest. So she just believed me. She stuck with it. Okay, he's gonna play to pay the bills, and then he's gonna coach to pay the bills, and and now we're doing what we're doing now. So nope, she just trusted in me. She's crazy, but it ended up working out all right for her, I think, if you ask her.
Oh man, you guys have a blessed place. The one thing of getting back to where Josh and I met in person was, and I tell people all the time, like, you never know how special things are as a former as a Husker fan, but also just a guy who's coached football and loves football and was introducing you to BK, where you guys know of each other, but like
Yep,
to
but never
know
met, Matt.
never met. And
Right.
like that experience alone it was just very awesome to see from the outside looking in, because you're like, they both have went through the struggles, different times, different eras, not far off, but far enough off to where there's so much difference that, like you said, you don't run into each other. There was times where with the new regime, the old people weren't allowed to come back at certain times, so there could have been animosity where you never met each other. But then just seeing you guys chop it up, talk about the good things. Of course, those that know BK is a ordained minister. So he was the minister, I was the DJ, and we got The owner of the venue of the acreage, how did the acreage come true for you and your wife? And like, where did that mindset come from? Of course, taking what you know and because you brought up insurance, but this is not insurance. This is not building your
Yeah.
how did
Right.
this all come to you and your family and the beyond football? Because you found something that is able to give you passion and drive where you're orchestrating an offense, no matter what anybody wants to say. When you do
Yep.
those events, it's an offense the whole time. We got to be
Right.
ready. We got to go. The time matters. What was it like for the acreage for you and your wife, of course?
Oh man, it was just kind of a shot in the dark. We came back from Oregon trying to figure out what we're doing next. I got my insurance license. It just didn't have the juice for me. And so my sister was getting married. I helped her. I figured out what we were paying for what we were getting. And I'm like, I can do that. You know what I mean? I can have a building and open the doors and say, give me the check. It turns out it's a whole lot more than that. But so we left my parents' house and I'm like, we could do that. And so then you get on the computer and you start researching stuff and doing this and this. And, we kept building it. And it's like, yeah, we can. And I kind of went back to one of those things where like some things you just do. And like, there was no point in it where I'm like, well, we can't do that. Cause like, you just take one step after another. And when like, yep, that works, that works, that works, that works. You just keep going where, there was a lot of times where somebody else was like, well, like it's just not even an option. But in my head, it's like, well, you haven't given me a reason why it can't be an option. So I'm going to keep on going. And so one thing after another. And then, 2 years after we had like kind of had that idea on the car ride home, we're sitting in a building running weddings.
You, of course, have the first wedding is your own. How important was that to your life as far as being able to know that this woman stuck out with you through the hardest of your times of the sport that you loved? Now you were able to turn your guys' dreams of a venue into reality to not only service many others and their greatest day, as we all hope, but then your own, and to start your family knowing that it's built on that success that's beyond the game, beyond the moment of people believing in one person and you guys are believing in it together.
Yeah, no, it's pretty special. Um, and obviously just a good test of everything that we were able to get through it. And that's what everybody said. I'm like, if we can build this whole thing and we're still going to get married at the end of it, then we are meant to be. But it was a fun time. I mean, obviously some tense times. Like it was a stressful time. There's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of just stressful decisions to make. But we were able to do it together and work through a lot of things that really kind of helped us be stronger in our relationship. And now, I'm at work, but my wife and my daughter and my dog, they can just walk over from our house and hang out. So like I'm not, it's not even work to us. We get to have fun with great people on the weekends and make sure everything happens and, be at home all the time.
How can people find you? What was the name? How did you come across the name and the location for you guys?
Location is just gorgeous, man. You come out here, you look out the back windows. It's just, it'll sell anybody. Yeah. It's just,
Facts.
this is Nebraska. It's rolling hills. It's trees and, it's just quiet. That's what we like about it. So, they can find us on the website. I try and keep myself off. I don't want anybody to find me. That's why I moved Claire out to Palmyra. Like I'm gonna stay away, but, yeah, just, acreageevents.com. That's us on just our website, and then at Acreage Events on Instagram and Facebook and everything. So if you're engaged, or you want to throw a good party, then just reach out, and we're here to solve problems, not create them. That's kind of our thing.
The best part that I could say from a DJ side, this was one of the best venues that I've been at. The fact that I could just bring my controller and my music and just play is a bonus. But don't take it for granted. These people, you guys have put a lot of money and a lot of resources in it to give the experience, and I think that's what you guys totally do out there at the acreage. I'm not saying it because he's on here. I'm saying it because I've DJ'd at many venues, and when you look for bang for your buck that gives you everything, it was top notch as far as your staff, which is not easy nowadays. Making sure that your staff represents you. What's been the biggest struggles that you think, and what's the thing that you guys have kind of found success in when it comes to the people that represent you at the acreage?
Well, the struggle at first was, you're trying to run a bar, and so you just automatically are thinking it's a bar. You gotta have somebody that knows what they're doing. They know every drink, every drink in the book. You don't want somebody flipping back through cheat cards and everything. And the way we set up the system was we're just able to hire good people. So like our best worker, and she works almost every event. We were eating dinner at sushi or at Hero 88, getting some sushi, and she was the waitress at the table next door, and we just kind of overheard her, and she was killing it, and she was so good with these people. And so afterwards, we're like, "You want a job?" Like, it's like, yeah. And so that's like, it's literally all we do. I mean, we just live life, and if there's somebody who's a good person that can talk the talk, and it just seems like they can do it, then it's like, here's what we're doing. We'd love for you to be a part of the team, and kind of build something with us. And so that's nice. So like our only criteria is that you're just a good person, a good dude, and a hard worker. That's all I care about. Well, we'll teach you the rest. That'll come along.
That's that Nebraska for you right there. Red, 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 always bleeding. When you look at, of course, these past years, and if you were to look at a high school Josh and a college Josh and a post life Josh, that a message that you would like to share with everybody that they should know from each stage of your life, what would you think is the most important part for people to stay in those parts of their life? I know you kind of stressed a little bit about the high school part of how important that is, and especially with social media, and as you see with sports, I mean, they're now 100 360 days a year, like they're not even getting to be kids or be in those moments. What would you say for each level of your stages of life?
Man, I think the one thing that kind of carries through the whole thing is like you just can't take anything too seriously. I think that's a lot of the problems around anywhere. Yes, some things are important, and you got to dial in, and you got to do the task at hand. But at the end of the day, if you're not enjoying it, then what's the point? So if you're just grinding your whole high school career, because like if I do all this stuff, and I don't have any fun, and I just only do what I'm supposed to do, that I'm gonna make it up there. Like maybe you will, maybe you won't, but you didn't even enjoy your time. So like you can't take anything too seriously. Even like people saying stuff, especially on social media anymore. So somebody says something about you. So what? Like it's not that important. Like nothing's that serious. You pick the things that are important to you. You got, faith, family, and football, right? The old like Vince, or the Green Bay Packers, the old Vince Lombardi thing. Like that holds true. Like you pick your most important things in life, and the rest of it, who cares? Let it go on the wind. It's not that serious. And I think that's something that's always helped me enjoy a lot of the things in my life is, I've seen a lot of people, and I've seen it happen to them, where they get stuck on every little thing that could go wrong and this and that, and they're just miserable. And it's like, what are you worried about that for? Especially with my wife sometimes, it's like, so I left my socks on the ground again. Is it a big deal? Are they going to ruin your day? But yeah,
But when we do that to the wives, it's what turns their frowns upside down, because they know that we're giving them the crap right back. And
oh yeah, for sure.
it's,
And
it's just,
that's what's good about this venue is I got like 600, 800 people coming through every weekend. So my polling survey source is unbelievable. So basically every husband or boyfriend out there has at least 2 laundry piles, is what I've learned. See, you even got one.
I do. My wife hates it because I have like
the
if
regular
I'm just
hamper,
yes,
and then you got the pile that is, you wore it, but you could still wear it
yeah,
again.
you didn't wear it. And my wife don't understand. She's like, I'm like, honey, I wear layers. So like after this show, I could take this off. Why? Because I didn't sweat in it. There's nothing wrong with it. I could wear it tomorrow if I needed to.
Doesn't need to be washed.
No,
so I gotta have another pile, but I'm not gonna hang it back up with the clean clothes because this has been worn once.
Yeah, and then you'll get mad because I hung it up with the clean. You hung that shirt back up.
See?
There's no winning, but
it's
as long
every
as
guy.
you love each other, this is every guy. But as long as you love each other, that's the number one thing. As I'm about to hit 25 years, I think what was fun is when I got a DJ at your venue was just the camaraderie, you made it very comfortable to understand what the process was, what you were doing, what options we had as people that were there, servicing the DJ part. And then it was just a fact of giving me crap as well. I still tell people, but now you're going to have to
I'm
live
gonna
it.
catch it though. I'm gonna
Yeah,
catch
you're
it on
going
the
to catch
back
it.
end.
My oldest daughter
Yeah.
just got married, and I told Josh, because this was before she got married, I said, this is always my hardest part is the dad speeches. It just, and as you get older and your kids get older, it hits harder, and it's not easy. And then you have to do one yourself. So good luck, because he just became a girl dad. So congratulations. Congratulations on your family. Congratulations on the success. And I appreciate you just taking the time out of your day and sharing your story. So those people who see the stars, who see the opportunity is there, but just know that there's things that will still beat you up mentally. It's how are you going to find people? How are you going to get past it? And obviously you have done what you've done to create a great life beyond football. It wasn't easy. It wasn't a thing like, oh, everything's given. You earned it. You've done it. And now you get to live in it. And we'll hopefully catch up another time. So I appreciate your time, Josh.
Hey man, always a pleasure, brother. Glad I got to meet you at the wedding, and we'll chop it up again soon.
All right, buddy. Well, you take care. And thank you again, everybody that follows, likes, shares. Remember, this is on Character Chronicles. And also, this is powered by the Omaha Beef. Don't forget, their season starts March 7th. That is coming up. So if you're still hungry for football, obviously his teammate Tommy Armstrong was our quarterback and was an MVP, not once, but twice, and has a couple championship rings to go along with it. And they've been a part of the past 5 championships, winning 3 of them. That's very unheard of in this day and age. They've been around for 26 years, but guess what? You'll check out a show or you'll come out to a game, and I promise you, once you get those bugs of football and you love football, you'll never regret not going. But until then, we'll see you next episode, and thank you again.
The standard is the standard. We set the standard.